report localizer established runway 27 left, speedbird 232.
245, please.
Speedbird 232.
Shuttle 14 Papa, reduce 180 knots.
180 knots, shuttle 14 Papa. Speedbird 232, established localizer 27 left.
Speedbird 232, descend ILS.
Descend ILS, speedbird 232.
Shuttle 14 Papa, turn right, heading 180.
Right, 180, shuttle 14 Papa. Good evening, heading 7
Alitalia 79 Alpha. Alitalia 79 Alpha, turn left, heading 060. Shuttle 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27 left.
Right, 245, call you localizer established 27 left, shuttle 14 Papa.
Alitalia 79 Alpha, turn left, heading 360 degrees. Spirit 232, you can start reducing speed now, but not less than 160 until you reach 4.
Not less than 160 to 4, speedbird 232.
Alitalia 79 Alpha, turn left, heading 305, report localizer established on 27 left.
305, report long established 27 left,
Speedbird 851, reduced to 180 knots.
180 knots, speedbird 851.
Shuttle 14 Papa, descent to altitude 3,000 feet.
Altitude 3,000 feet, shuttle 14 Papa.
Good evening, this is 36 Juliet.
Chris 360 Juliet, roger. Speedbird 232, contact tower 18.5.
8.5, speedbird 232, goodbye. Shuttle 14 Papa, localized established 27 left.
Shuttle 14 Papa, descent microwave, reduced to 1.
Good evening, YouTubers. We are doing a live stream of something called Flight Sim World. We are doing this on a Super Bowl Sunday. So I'm not so into the Super Bowl, so I figured that is a great time to do a little live flying. I've been doing a lot of different flights with X-Plane 11, but I thought it would be time to try something different tonight. So if you have Steam, you can purchase Flight Sim World. It's made by Dovetail Games. It used to be called something else. I can't remember, but it was recently renamed. And it's kind of an interesting flight simulator. I find the graphics to be quite good. It's the next generation of Microsoft Flight Simulator. So if you've ever flown with Microsoft Flight Simulator, essentially Dovetail Games purchased the rights to it. Dovetail Games made this kind of one airport or two airport version. It was called something else. And then they completely revamped it, called it Flight Sim World, and it's kind of a very cheap flight simulator for $20 or $25 in Steam with microtransactions. So what do I mean by that? Well, essentially, if you want a moving map, you have to buy it. If you want more planes, you have to buy that. So it's neat for having some fun. It's also got a multiplayer option to it. You can fly missions and things like that, and some of them are actually quite challenging. But do note that, you know, if you're going to get into all kinds of cool features, you will most likely have to pay. So I'm using this naked without any extra DLCs or any add-ons. It is by itself just naked vanilla Flight Sim World. I figured we should go bushwhacking today in the Alaskan wilderness. So let's go ahead and do a free flight. As you can see here, there's all kinds of different aircraft that you can select in Flight Sim World. I think it's fitting if we're going bushwhacking just to pick one with no GPS or anything like that. So we'll go for the Super Cub. And all the stats about the Super Cub are on the screen. You can then go and set up your weather. I think springtime is good. It's pretty snowy out here in Ottawa right now, so having some good weather to fly in would be good. And then we can go ahead and pick our airport. So if we have a particular airport that we want to fly to or from, we can set up all that. So perhaps I will see if there's anchorage here. ANCH. Let's see. Alaska. There we go. So again, I have no map, so I don't know if we're going to be able to land very well, but it is what it is. So let's start off there, and let's go ahead and fire this puppy up by clicking start. So while we wait for this to load, I also published a different video today. So if you guys have some interest, I recorded a tutorial on a plugin called Airport Visual System. I just uploaded it to my channel today. So if you're interested in learning about how to taxi from a gate to a desired runway, and especially if you're flying online using VATSIM and you're looking for following the directions that air traffic control provide, well, that is one way to do it. Again, that is a tutorial I posted on my YouTube channel today, so do check that out. And I notice we have some people watching, so if someone can type in the chat just to let me know that things are good. I got a little warning on the stream here saying that the stream health is not ideal, so let me know if you guys can hear me, if there's any problems, and then I'll go ahead and proceed here. I'm getting that video output is low. The stream's current bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. We recommend you use a stream bit rate of 9500. So I am pretty sure that I'm doing that, but you guys tell me if the quality is good or not. And I'll just pause for a second while I wait to see some chats to let me know that things are good here. All right, we're going to keep going. So we'll hit start. We are in the Alaskan wilderness, flying in a Super Cub in a game called Flight Sim World, made by Dovetail Games. Thanks, AZ. I appreciate that. It's nice to know that the audio and everything is good, because I can't quite hear everything that I'm sending out to YouTube, so I always rely on the folks watching to let me know. I really like the scenery of this game. So as you can kind of look around here, I can freely look around the aircraft, especially the weather. Like there's one particular time I set up the weather in this game to rain. There was raindrops dripping on my windshield. It was spectacular. And we'll probably bounce around. We're not going to do anything particular today. I think we'll just fly around, do some bushwhacking, and we'll probably pop in a couple different planes later. And I'll show you some of the weather. So for now, let's take off in the Super Cub. There we go. Beautiful scenery. So again, for those of you that are used to Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator that is, you'll notice that the ground graphics are pretty close to Microsoft Flight Simulator. The handling is pretty good. If you want a realistic flight simulator, again, the X-Plane 11 is probably your best one. I haven't enabled the new weather setting yet, AZ. Is that there was one that says advanced weather? Maybe you want to give me a little blurb about that. Is that that uses realism? How does that work? Flying through the mountains in the Alaskan wilderness in my Super Cub. Let's get high enough here so that we can actually not hit these mountains. We don't have a whole lot of power here, so we have to really manage our ascents. So I'll kind of cut up over here to gain some more altitude before I try to climb these other mountains over here. Probably 7,000 feet is supposed to be the magic number there. That's neat, AZ. I'll probably enable it in a bit. So I think what we'll do is we'll get above some of these mountains here and we'll check out the views. And then I'll probably pop in a couple different aircraft. Perhaps try out that weather setting that you recommend. And then we'll try to do some landings. So let's see what the views look like here. There we go. My big rubber tires. Now I have the graphics on as high as you can get them. I do have quite a good graphics card, a 980 Ti. I'm running a i7-6700 processor, so that's one below the Kaby Lake. I think it's Sky Lake. And it runs X-Plane quite well. And it looks like it's doing a pretty good job of Flight Sim World as well. Hope I didn't get myself in trouble here. I'm getting kind of out of available space and terrain is getting much higher, so we'll see. I'm at 4,300 feet right now. I'll probably climb to around 7. Hopefully that gets me out of danger. Engine looks good. There's not a whole lot of features in this particular aircraft. There's definitely no GPS, that's for sure. It does look, if I zoom in here, it looks like we have some comm radios and a nav radio. So I guess I could do a VOR or ADF navigation. There's only one problem with that. I would probably need to find out how to actually fly, because there's no map. Because this is one of those micro-transactions. So, hey, Francois, hey, Jesus, hey, everybody. So yeah, the game is neat. It's pretty cheap. I think I bought it for about $15 when it was called something else, and then renamed to Flight Sim World. And unfortunately, lo and behold, they turned the game into microtransactions, which, you know, you can buy X-Plane for about $60 or $70. So if you buy this for, you know, $25, I think is what it's going for in Steam, and then buy all the aircraft and then buy the map add-on, you're back up to the same price as X-Plane, which essentially, in my opinion, is so far a better simulator. So I don't quite know why you would do that, but anyway, I figure we will share what we have. So we're on our way up to about 7,000 feet, bushwhacking in Alaska. I flew a jet yesterday, so if you check out my live stream yesterday, we went from Toronto to Chicago. We used a flight management computer. We plugged in our waypoints, and away we went. We had a little bit of a rough landing because the flight management computer suggested that I fly in at, I think it was 2,100 feet. And I, being me, decided that I didn't want to fly in at 2,100 feet. I flew in at 5,000 feet, and we quickly learned the computer's generally right. So there we go. So I'm pressing M on the keyboard, I'm pressing tab, and what we learned is there is no map because it's $25. So AZ, you mentioned that you were playing with this before. Did you happen to buy the DLC for the map or not? Jake, you said the audio cut out, but it's back now. Is everything okay? Flying in the Alaskan wilderness through the mountains in a game called Flight Sim World by Dovetail Games. I think the only thing so far that really impresses me is the weather graphics. So I'm not in a plane that has a windshield, and I'd probably be freezing right now at 7,000 feet in the mountains. But it is what it is. this could be fun. It's kind of foggy over here. So let's see if we can kind of get back to our airport here. Maybe we'll switch planes. Alright, good to hear, Jake, good to hear. So let's get back out of the mountains and fly around here. Kind of follow the water trail. And then I'll perhaps pop into a different aircraft later. So we'll stay around 7,000 feet. We're getting there. I might go up to 7,500, but no more than 8. So normally I fly the Cessna 172, the glass cockpit edition. It's newly available as part of X-Plane 11.10. And yesterday I took something different and I flew a jet, the X737 project. It's a free aircraft. You just have to pay for the flight management computer. And today I figured we'd do some bushwhacking in the the Alaskan wilderness. Checking out Flight Sim World, which, as you guys are noticing probably by now, the graphics not so hot when it comes to texture and terrain, not bad when it comes to actual aircraft and cockpit. Flying in a Super Cub, going about 100 knots at just under 7,000 feet. I'm going to do a dive here in a bit, so I'll start reducing my speed. And when we come over this ridge, we will see what we end up with. We get some rough spot here. I can feel the plane shaking. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but definitely got some shaking going on. So alright, let's drop our throttle back. I think we're getting into an overspeed is what's going on here. So we'll drop our throttle back and we'll gain our speed just from the descent. I'm looking at the bottom right and I believe that is our runway. I can't tell for sure. I practically put the plane and engine, in neutral right now because we're approaching yellow right now, which is an overspeed in our descent. And that's kind of fine, so it is a simulator. I'd like to keep it, though, as real as I can, so I don't want to descend too fast. So we're down to about 4,000 feet now. I believe the airport is in front of me. Once we get a little lower and I can tell for sure, I might set my flaps. And it doesn't look like I have a whole lot of room for maneuvering. It looks like if that truly is the runway, doesn't look like there is a lot of runway there. So I will have to make sure that I stop. Thanks everybody for confirming the sound check. We got 15 people watching today. Instead of watching the Super Bowl, they're watching us do a landing. 2,500 feet. We're still going down about 100 knots. I just lowered my flaps 10. That should slow me down a little bit. So that means I can start slowing down nicely for my landing. And this looks to be the runway. I still don't know. So we'll find out soon. And if not, we'll give it another go. Start increasing my throttle a little bit. So it's a little harder to land these bushwhacking planes than the other planes because you usually have a glide slope or an ILS, but don't think they have too many of those things in Alaska. Aha, 6 p.m. So I got an hour. It's probably about what I was going to fly today anyway. I don't think this is a runway, but we're going to do it anyway. our gravel grass strip here in Alaska. There we go. So we checked out that plane. Let's go ahead and select another plane. Let's go and press escape here. Let's go back to the flight planner. And I guess we can go ahead for something maybe a little more powerful. Let's go for the Twin Star with 2 engines. This guy looks like it has a stall speed of 73 knots. So that's cool. And let's go ahead and pick another airport. So actually, yeah, let's go. Let's just stay where we are, I guess. That was kind of fun. Hey, there's our first bug. There's just a random guy floating there, apparently. Oh, and now there's a guy in the airplane. So that's cool. There I am. So let's have a look at this puppy. We have a twin engine. Yeah, we have a G1000. This is kind of cool. So that's neat. We have a G1000 in the plane. So, and I can look around the cockpit and zoom in. So that's cool because I can actually fly to different airports. I don't know if it's fully implemented like X-Plane 11. So let's have a look. We will use the large. If I click it, can I get it? No. What if I go like this? Let's see what this does. There we go. If I use the large knob, I'm supposed to be able to, there we go, nearest. So these are our nearest airports. So let's press the cursor in and let's navigate to one of these guys. So it's a little bit tricky to use this. X-Plane, the pop-out G1000 makes life a little bit simpler. So I'm just trying to see if there's a better way to get to this knob and rotate it. But it doesn't look like that. So we're on nearest. These are the airports. Normally you press the button in if you want to get in there. So I did. And now what I would like to do is inner knob. I would like to rotate it. But it doesn't want to rotate. So maybe that perhaps is a bug that they didn't implement that feature yet. So that's kind of strange. So let's go back over to what they call the primary flight display. The other one was called a multifunction display, MFD for short, not printers for you tech guys out there. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. We select nearest, here we go. Can I rotate this knob? Oh, there we go, it's flashing at least, so that's a better sign. There we go, yay, I can do something, that's cool. So we have an airport 11 nautical miles away. Let's pick something maybe a little further. Maybe we can get one that has a GPS or something. So here we go. This one is 17 nautical miles away. So we'll hit the direct to button. We'll hit enter. We'll hit activate. And away we go. And it doesn't look like it did anything. So that's interesting. CDI. We'll change that to GPS. Hit clear. Normally, I would see a flight plan here that would tell me the distance. So definitely way not near as advanced as X-Plane 11. But I have it here. So, alright, let's give it a go, folks. So, it is what it is. Let's adjust our view here. I could tune into local traffic. I'm going to announce that I'm going to be taking off this runway here. Sure.
Alpha 1-3 traffic. Diamond November 4-2 Delta Alpha taking off runway 14 departing straight out.
We don't have much runway, folks, so let's see what happens. Wee-haw! There we go. Right in the water. All right. But, of course, we don't crash because it's Dovetail Games. That's why. if it was Flight Sim X-Plane 11, probably wouldn't be here talking. We'd be crashing. So it is what it is. That's why I do this, folks, so that you guys can get an indication of what's going on. So as our speed increases here a little bit, we'll keep going with our altitude. Mixture looks okay. I do have to pull back on the yoke awfully hard though, so I'm not quite sure why that is. So we'll raise our landing gear. Check outside. And away we go. So we are flying in a dual-engine aircraft in a game called Flight Sim World. This is a game by Dovetail Research. As you can see, there is a few issues here and there because we obviously crashed into the water a few seconds ago, but yet we bounced back. I also find the G1000 glass cockpit not to be as realistic because most of the knobs didn't seem to work. The screen on the left is called a primary flight display. The screen on the right is called a multifunction display. It's supposed to show you a moving map. It's not moving, so that's kind of strange. There is a airport approximately 17 miles away. That is where I've configured the GPS to go to. And we need to make a right-hand turn, but I need to get some altitude because there's some mountains there. So once we get some altitude, we will be doing that. There we go. Apparently my there's a little switch on the Eclipse CH Products yoke, and that switch for some reason had a different sensitivity in this game than my X-Plane, so I had to adjust it a bit. So we will be turning right very soon, and I can see the airport slightly on my GNS 1000 here. If you look to the multi-function display on the right-hand side, you can see the purple. That's our airport. I don't think it's the one we're flying to. I think we're going a little further. But we are bushwhacking in Alaska. That is what we're doing. Now, this is a bit of a fancier aircraft for bushwhacking, but we did try the Super Cub a few seconds ago. 16 people here with us today, enjoying this on a pre-Super Bowl Sunday. Once we get a little bit further, I think what I'll do is I will set up the realism on the weather a little bit more, because there is a feature that AZ mentioned to have it pretty much super real as the current time is now. The other thing that's really cool is if it's raining out, you can practically have it set up in such a way that all the raindrops go right on your windshield, so that's kind of cool. So we'll try that out a bit. So let's gain a little more altitude. It's going to be cutting it close here. Hopefully we don't get into a stall. This is some of the danger of the Alaskan bushwhacking activities that we'll be doing. But as we've seen from the water earlier, it doesn't look like crashing is really something this simulator has built into it. Looks like you just bounce off. So we're not flying real today, folks. Today we're just having some fun. Dovetail Games, Flight Sim World, Microtransaction Flight Simulator. Do you want a moving map? Yes. Go buy one. It's a DLC. Do you want more planes? We'll go buy those too, because they're DLC. Looks like we made it over this mountain, albeit just slightly. And once we get a little higher, I will level out and we'll see what's going to happen. I might even activate the autopilot in a second, folks. I'm just trying to get a handle. Okay, let's have a look here. It's kind of difficult because there's no pop-out display. I don't think there is. Let's look. No, there's not. Do I have any options in here for an instrument panel? Yeah, there we go. PFD. So that's kind of cool. You can pop out a flight display, and now I should be able to use the mirrors. That's neat. Okay. So how do I close this? Right click, close window. Okay. It looks like we have a major airport there to our right-hand side. So let's have a look. There we go. Yeah. So I know it's not where we were going to land, but maybe that's what we'll do. So let's decrease our speed a little bit here. And we might have to do a flyover first. So we're about 115 knots, so we need to lower our throttle quite a bit so we're not overspeeding. And we might actually have to do a passover first, and that's okay. We've got some traffic. We have some super clubs to our left-hand side, about 2,000 feet away. And I'm just reducing my altitude to about 2,500 feet. And then we'll probably land at that airport. So I'm not going to try to make it straight in. We're going to do a go-around. So what we'll do is we'll fly to the left-hand side of this airport, and then we'll come in and do a turnaround. The other thing I noticed about this simulator is that the views of the camera are not quite as good as X-Plane. In X-Plane, the views are much better. How so? Well, I can do custom camera views and things like that. And this one here, I practically have to hold the space button in, just like you would in Flight Simulator. And then I can look around. But that does not make life easy at all. So let's have a look here. There I am, flying in my twin-engine aircraft. And we're on our way down to land at this airport, whatever it may be. If I had better view controls like I do in X-Plane 11, I could easily know what it is, but that's not the case in this particular simulator. So if I hold the space bar in, I can look around like this. I see some buildings there, but I wish the view was much better. Oh well. However, let's pop out the primary flight display again, sorry, the multifunction display. And that's kind of strange. Normally this is where the autopilot controls are. And this is our airport we're arriving at. So, okay, let's close this particular screen. Let's pop open the autopilot. Let's turn on the autopilot, turn it to navigate. So we're going in the right way. Turn on a vertical speed and take it down. Vertical speed, up, up, up. So we're now approaching where we want to go, but it doesn't look like our autopilot in this plane is going to let me get to the vertical speed that I would like. I would like to be able to actually set the vertical speed. So right now we're going down at about 300 feet per minute, which is kind of okay, but not where I would like to be. So I'm going to turn it off, and we'll go back to manually flying, because that wasn't so fun. We are in beautiful Alaska. Hey, fire! Again, for those of you just tuning in, we're checking out Flight Sim World by Dovetail Games. It's a competitor to X-Plane, although in my opinion, not so much. It is neat graphics-wise, but not without its issues. And we're just flying around the Alaskan wilderness, bushwhacking, even though we're in a G1000 glass cockpit, so I guess kind of hard to call it bushwhacking, but, you know. Hey, Pedro! There is a runway down there that I can land at. I do have the GPS set to a different airport, but, you know, beggars can't be choosy. There we go. So we will have to come in for a slower decline. I wish I could be like an X-Plane 11, where X-Plane 11 does let me essentially pick my runway, or not pick my runway, increase my view. So I can actually set up my view in such a way that if I want to see over the nose of the aircraft, I can. This one makes it kind of difficult. So we're going to try to land below, and then I think I'll play with the weather a little bit. So we'll try out the weather in this particular simulator. I want you guys to see the raindrops that I was talking about here. It is pretty neat. Like, that aspect of the game is neat. But again, if you're not looking at this movable map, there is no map. So it's not like X-Plane 11 where you can simply just press M on the map. There is no map. If you want a map, you have to buy a map. This is a microtransaction simulator. Just reminding everybody again that I recently published a tutorial on using the Airport Visual System plugin. If you fly online using VATSIM or anything like that, sometimes it's very difficult to follow what air traffic control tells you need to do. And that's because they'll give you specific taxi instructions, and on X-Plane 11 it's pretty difficult to actually, you know, find those taxiways. Like, not everybody's map is up to date and things like that. So Airport Visual System corrects this behavior. What it does is it lets you either just have the system automatically figure the best route for you, and if you don't want that, if you want to follow simply whatever the rest of them say, what air traffic control says, you can just do exactly that. So we're going to put down our landing gear in a second. This is, again, I'm saying multiple times because we just had some new people join. This is Flight Sim World. It's very similar. It's Dovetail Games bought Microsoft Flight Simulator, or the rights to it, and this is basically the next version of that. The graphics are pretty good inside the cockpit. Outside the cockpit, I think they could use a little tweaking. They're practically identical to Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it's kind of a microtransaction flight simulator. So it's very cheap to buy in Steam, but if you want to do anything with it, like such as a moving map or something like that, you'll have to buy it. One of the features it does have that X-Plane kind of doesn't have natively built in, you have to use plugins, is the ability to play multiplayer. So you can essentially go multiplayer in that. So let's drop our landing gear, lower our flaps, and let's get a 30-degree turn going here. And I got some slippage here, so I'm going to use my rudder pedal. You can see in my primary flight display there to the right, the little underline to the diagonal, the triangle there. That means that I'm getting slippage, so I have to use more rudder. There's our airport. Twin engine aircraft to air traffic control. We have the runway in sight. Let's start our descent. So we'll start getting down in speed here. There is PAPI lights, although they're all white and very bright. so it's not going to be that easy to land. But we'll give it a shot. We have a couple other aircraft in the area. So I think what we'll do after this, after we land, what I'll do is we'll hop to my home airport here in Ottawa. We'll crank up some cranky weather, getting some rain going. And then I can show you what rain on the windshield looks like in this great game. And I'll show you how you can actually create a flight plan. So again, you know, there's no map, but because we do have this G1000 in here, we can use that for our map. And we can set all the desired settings we need. So hey Pedro, this is actually just default. This is not actually X-Plane 11. This is actually Flight Sim World. It's a different simulator. I wanted to try something different. I might consider looking at another one called Prepared 3D. Oh, there we go. We got 2 white and 2 red. That means we are bang on for our descent. Now, whether it stays that way or not, that's going to be another story. Yep, we're still 2 for 2. And I'm kind of riding the throttles. Okay, we got a little bit of a red, so I got to go a little higher here. All right. Let's go down a little more here. Set up our glide slope. Lift. Very difficult to see in this particular aircraft. Looks like we're over the runway now. And there we go, folks. Welcome to Alaska, wherever it is this airport is. I don't know because there's no map. Alright, let's have a look at what these little aircraft are in the hangar. EZ says, a little help for the plane with no map. The key you display a compass with the next waypoint you made in your flight. Okay, there's a key that apparently will display a waypoint. That's a good idea. So let's end this flight and let's go and do an actual simulation maybe. How about that, folks? What would you prefer? Would you prefer I do a simulation, like a mission? Or would you prefer that I maybe fly between 2 points and crank up some weather so you guys can see that? So what do you guys say in the chat here? Myself, I kind of want to see a bit of weather. So perhaps maybe we can do both. We can maybe fly the Diamond Star this time. But I think if we go back to home and we'll go to free flight, let's do that again. And let's go to the Diamond Star. Let's make it rainy. Gray and rainy. And I don't know what this means. Oh yeah, that's the airport. Let's fly to my home airport, CYOW for Ottawa. And let's take a really short flight to Rockcliffe. There we go. And we'll confirm that. All right, we're seeing a couple messages that for bad weather. So we'll just do gray and rainy for now, and then maybe we'll crank it up a little more, and then maybe we'll follow it up with a quick mission, and I guess let you guys go for some Super Bowl Sunday. So we're loading. So again, Flight Sim World by Dovetail Games. Flying from Ottawa to Rockcliffe, it is like a 8-minute flight or something like that. It's pretty quick. I don't have as many features as X-Plane 11. My visuals and cameras are not the same. I don't have the same controls. all in all, I don't see me playing with this simulator a lot, but it is neat to just monkey around with. I think if I just want to enjoy some peaceful scenery, this is the game. If I want to enjoy some realistic flight, then I would stick with X-Plane 11. So here we go, start. Ah, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool, yeah. So there's the rain. I can also hear it on the windshield. So it says I need to reset my altimeter here. There we go. So let's have a look. What do we got in this aircraft? This is the single engine. My GPS is already set up for me based on my previous flight plan, so that's kind of cool. Looking for the autopilot stuff. It's down here, so that's neat. So I guess I could enable that. And vertical speed. Can I just adjust this? Okay, so looks like very strange. So this particular autopilot does not behave like the one I'm used to in X-Plane at all. But that's fine. So here we are. It's raining. I can hear the rain. It's winter. So let's take off for Rockcliffe, folks. Let's take off for Rockcliffe. All right. Flaps. And here we go. This is the part that it does beat X-Plane in my opinion. The graphics are much better when it comes to weather. But outside of that, I like the ground graphics in X-Plane better. There we go. We have liftoff. I will raise the landing gear. I will raise my flaps. I will pitch up at about 10 degrees. Activate the autopilot, activate the nav mode, change our CDI to the GPS, and now the plane should start automatically turning towards my location. Hard to see on the screen, but recap that again. I used the flight plan that's built into this game. Then I activated the autopilot, selected nav mode, and then I changed its CDI to GPS. We'll fly to about 3,000 feet on our way to Rockcliffe, which is a very short flight with some rainy weather. Let's have a look outside. So I guess I didn't have to touch my landing gear too much because this one doesn't retract. So is that X Enviro, is that a plug-in there, AZ? I might have to do a review of that plug-in soon then. I kind of go native pretty much in my X-Plane because when I'm recording and things like that, I really want to pump out the graphics for you guys. So I record at like 1440p resolution. So I really just crank it up full Monty. We're going to go to 3,500 feet. And now I'll activate the Alt hold. There we go. And we'll see what that does. Yep, it apparently is doing stuff. So we have rain. We're on our way to Rockcliffe. Let's zoom in and look. There we go. Let's hold at this altitude. There is our plan. We should start turning right here soon. According to the multifunction display, we're 3 minutes away. That's a good tip, Joseph. I might try that myself. There we go. We got our turn coming in. we have our turn. And I can really hear the sounds of the rain. I don't know if you guys can also hear that or not, but it sounds quite real. So let's start slowing our speed down slightly. And I'm in no rush to land, so I see the airport in front of me. So I think what I'll do is I'll take the autopilot off now. And let's start descending a little bit. There we go. We don't need to descend fast. We got lots of room. We are descending about 1,000 feet per minute, so I'm going to decrease my speed a little bit because I don't want to descend that fast. You want to keep your speed to about 80 knots if you're going to deploy your flaps. So by lowering your throttle, you can dip your nose a little bit more, which gives you a little more room decrease your speed or increase your pitch. We're flying into the Rockcliffe Airport from Ottawa, like a 5 or 6 minute flight, very quick, in a simulator called Dovetail Games Flight Sim World. Once we land, folks, whether it's a good landing or not, what we will do is we will then try a mission and then call it a day. That should give everybody all the features of Flight Sim World, so everyone has a good idea. Let's look over there. There is the Rockcliffe Airport. We're still descending, so no problem. So let's start our turn. Let's decrease our speed, lower our flaps, and you can see the runway lights for the Gatineau Airport there too, just a bit past. Yeah, that's a good point, AZ. Like, maybe there's large jets. I don't know if you have to buy them. It would be neat if they at least gave one. I think it's a neat game to play for a multiplayer. So if you have some friends and you want to do a a flight simulator challenge, you want to fly, it's a lot simpler in this game than in X-Plane, that's for sure. But if you want to fly realism, I find the pop-out display to be more graphically intense in X-Plane compared to this. Like the knobs are really hard on the G1000 to use, but I wouldn't mind trying some multiplayer flights with this and see how that works out. So we're about to land in Rockcliffe Airport in Ottawa, my home city, on a rainy day, even though it's not really raining right now, but it is snowing, so I guess that's okay. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Will we land safely? There's not a whole lot of runway space here in Rockcliffe, but we will see. Let's slow down a little bit. There we go. And we'll pop on the brakes here with the realism sounds. And there we go. We landed safely in Rockcliffe. Okay, so we tried bushwhacking in Alaska. We tried a simulation with some weather. Let's just try a mission, and then we'll call it a day, folks. So let's go home, and let's see what I can pick for as far as missions go. Los Angeles approach, eh? Okay. What other missions can I pick? We'll go to missions. There's a whole bunch of different ones. So this is 5 minutes. This is land at Los Angeles International Airport on runway 7L. Yeah, okay. Let's do that one. Yeah, and I do agree with you there, AZ. Like I find that I'm quite like I'm still beginning my adventure in flying as well. And I mean, I think if you're new and you just want to get up there and play, then Flight Sim World is going to do that for you. And then once you get familiar with it, then perhaps you know, your next step is to take on something like this. So or so like X-Plane 11. So I do agree with you. So I've never flew this mission before, so probably be the first time that I maybe pass or fail. We'll find out. We're flying this, looks to be a single prop. Takes about 5 minutes. It says it's easy. We're going to be doing a approach into Los Angeles using Flight Sim World by Dovetail Games, which a bunch of us have been talking about in our chat today as being kind of neat, but more for beginners.
November Sierra Kilo, you are cleared on runway 7 left. Be advised of traffic Piper 46 to your left, making a landing on 6th right.
Cleared on 7 left. We have eyes on traffic to our left, November Sierra Kilo. Okay, we are cleared for landing. Pre-landing checklist, please.
Seats upright.
Check.
Seatbelts fastened.
Check.
Adjust directional gyro.
Is set. No need to adjust.
Altimeter 29.52.
Set.
Radio frequencies.
All set.
Prop RPM is required. Gear down.
Gear is down.
Flaps if required. Landing lights on.
Lowering flaps.
Landing lights on, please.
So I guess it wants our landing lights on. I don't happen to see
Never
them.
mind, I will do it.
Oh, there we go.
Landing lights are on.
Check.
Perfect.
Pre-landing checklist complete.
Even better. I didn't have to
Roger,
do it.
let's put her on the ground.
I do like the split on the primary flight display, and I can see the ILS glide slope here. That's kind of cool. They don't give you enough time in the situation to set it up, but if I had enough time, I guess I could pause the simulator and then use the Garmin 530 that we have in this plane. So we're flying into the left runway, apparently. Into Los Angeles. Look at the graphics, folks. There is lots to see here, so let's go ahead and remove the log so we can see all the graphics here. I'm using the CH Products Eclipse yoke and CH Products rudder pedals. There we go. We got our PAPI lights. We got one. Let's try to bring this down a little more to get our second PAPI light. Flaps are down. A bit fast. Lower our throttle back. Let's drop our pitch a little bit to line up with the PAPI lights. There we go. A little bit too low. Perfect. We got two PAPI lights. We had. And we will just flare up a little bit to get a reduction speed here.
Watch out, you're going in the grass.
Well, not bad, but a little bit hard to see. I really like X-Plane where you can actually get a view over the cockpit and actually see what's going on. So we failed that mission, folks. But I guess that was kind of interesting. So let's just go ahead and restart that. Let's do that again now that I'm familiar with the approach. I was actually thinking it was going to be the runways. There's double runways left and right on each side of the airport. I was actually expecting it to be on the left-hand side. So that's kind of why I went back and then came again. Now that I know where the actual lights are, we'll do that. And I'm going to use the Garmin 530 if I get a time. So let's do this. Let's land it properly, and then we'll call it a day. We want to end our fun tonight with an actual real landing. We don't want any of these failed missions, folks. Here we go. For those of you watching,
Kilo, you are cleared on runway 7 left.
We're
Be
playing
advised of traffic
Flight
Piper
Sim
46
World.
to your left, making a landing on 6 right.
Cleared on 7 left. We have eyes on traffic to our left, November Sierra Kilo. Okay, we are cleared for landing. Pre-landing checklist, please.
Seats upright.
Check.
Seatbelts fastened.
Check.
Adjust directional gyro.
Is set. No need to adjust.
Altimeter 29.52.
Set.
Radio frequencies.
All set.
Prop RPM is required. Gear down.
Gear is down.
Flaps if required. Landing lights on.
Check.
Pre-landing checklist complete.
Roger, let's put her on the ground.
all right, well, we didn't pass the last situation, so let's try this again, folks. I'm going to switch our CDI here to the localizer. So hopefully the localizer will give me some indication of what to fly. Let's reduce our speed a little bit. Thanks, Pedro. I appreciate that. You guys enjoy the Super Bowl tonight. I think once we are done landing, we're going to call it a night for tonight. Be sure to check out my new tutorial on Airport Visual System. Thanks, everybody, for joining. It's been a fun hour. We had about 16 people watching bushwhack through Alaska. Then we tried some different scenery, flying something called Flight Sim World by Dovetail Games. It is a kind of a fun simulator, but not as real as X-Plane by any means.
We're a little too high. Watch the white and red PAPI lights. Make sure you have 2 red and 2 white.
Lowering flaps.
Hey, Oli Epic. Here's a shout out. We're about finished for the night, folks. We're playing Dovetail Games Flight Sim World. Will we pull off this landing? We will find out. it looks like we're going to do it.
November Sierra Kilo, exit to the left at any taxiway.
Nice flight. I can't wait to stretch my legs.
All right, folks, this is Jason and another live stream. We are playing Flight Sim World by Dovetail Games. It's a microtransaction based flight simulator. It's probably what I would recommend if you're new to flying and you have not played with a flight simulator. Normally I fly X-Plane 11. This is something different. We flew a couple aircraft today. We went bushwhacking in Alaska. We flew a Super Club. Then we went for a twin-engine aircraft. We went from Ottawa to Rockcliffe with weather, and we just tried a mission. So this should give you a good indication of how Flight Sim World is, and if you want to buy it, it's on Steam. Thanks for spending an hour and 10 minutes with me tonight. I hope you all enjoy the Super Bowl tonight if that's what you're into, and we'll catch you again next week. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good one.